Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake, Chats 2017. I'm a living doll. I'm so silly looking. With this funny Rosanna Dan hair. I have just come off of the most intense little bit of time I've ever spent in my entire freaking life. So I've been given the admonition that I need to go play in the shower and get some more info. And then I'm going to come back and do some more, and I'll channel. And it's going to be pretty good. But I wanted to come as me, sort of as a bookend to what I distributed yesterday. Wow, if you ever want to know some of the torment of a deep soul, there you go. It really stands as a living, breathing, bleeding, crying, whining testament to having a fully entangled Akash. Not knowing what end is up and who's who. Yee. Well, this is 111. Ha 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 ha. Alright, so I keep seeing 1117, and it peeves me because it's not pretty. What the heck? What? 11-7. 11-1-1-1-7. So this morning I'm flopping over in bed, and they say, okay, here it is. It's 111 plus a 7. See how that goes? 111 is more than 11. It's more than the next octave. It's a big deal. It's the first of the next octave of master numbers. Doi. I shouldn't say things like that. That's mean. But it's really pretty, right? And then you got a 7. What's that spell? Well, that's a 1. It's a binary 1. What year are we in? Oh, that'd be a binary 1. That's pretty, isn't it? And 7 means divinity or whatever. Whatever. It means a lot of things. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. 7 is also came into prominence when I was talking with my friend Melissa, because there's not so much of a crisis as a transition happening here, and it's happening very consciously. And it's like at the end of our talk, it's so stark. There are 2 timelines, and it ate up to me. Oh my. Oh my. And this is what I tried to avoid for a lifetime. To have my will fused with another is quite an interesting thing. And for me to see it as something other than like a parasitic growth that I allowed to occur, which is not any way to think about this, but that's how dark I was. I see now that it's because I mean that's how a lot of first and second waivers roll. They just don't want any karma. No. They're staying in their rooms and playing on computers. They're not getting out there. They're not mingling. They're socially inept. They're not going to be mating, I don't think, unless they find other nerds who are also socially inept. There's a lot of them too. And I can laugh because I mean I'm part of it. Good Lord. Because I realize now that, you know, being a fused entity like this is trippy. And it takes you places you might not expect to go. And part of what I understand, you know, and always have, is that, you know, had Sam was part of the plan. Had Sam not been here, I wouldn't be here. Are you kidding me? Holy shit. There is no way I would have gone another 10 years. No. More like 14. No. It was just too much at that point. And so it just is so amazing to really embody the truth of it, and to not fall for the lower explanations or karmic junk. So I had a long talk with Melissa, and they admonished her to write notes because I would forget. And I'm sitting there listening to him saying, well, screw you, I'm going to remember every single word. Yeah, it didn't happen. I've already lost most of it. It comes in waves. But explained my thing with Jesus. And when I explained that we were compatible in our charts, it wasn't like, oh, I wonder if Jesus would be my boyfriend. It wasn't like that at all. I was looking up this thing that was driving me mad. Of a conjunct sun opposite Pluto retrograde. I had to understand. That's not normal. It's just fucking not normal. So I was looking it up, and the very first profile is Jesus's. Well, alrighty then. His was much more. It was just different. But the signature was that. And so yeah, the same torment and the same drive to understand, and a lot more. Less constriction in the consciousness for the sacred arts and stuff like that, and a lot of really good work. And during that whole process, as I was channeling, I was in this jail cell writing the Gospels, and all of that fear of the prisons and all the darkness and all the imprisonments, and oh my God, it just came flooding back in that little cell, just wanting to reach out to friends at the very least, and to explain what I know, and knowing that they're scurrying about and doing their business and having their realities and getting laid and eating good and bitching the whole time. What else have I got to do than to have visions? And so the Jesus life came, and I wasn't Jesus. Obviously, I wasn't Jesus. That's wrong. That's wrong. I carried those attributes, but I did it as a female, out of honor and curiosity, and because it was time. And you think I'm the only one with this configuration? Well, this particular one, yeah, obviously. There are a lot that come very close. There are many who are highly compatible, and all of them have Pluto retrograde. Waves. Don't you understand? Pluto retrograde happens in waves. First wave, second wave, third wave. Got it? And now all these planets in retrograde, including Pluto. So it's a very important time to anchor this, and we were given the understandings of the orgasmic bliss of the opposition and the completion and the orgasmic joy and tension when sun faces moon, and they come together. Their opposition melts into unity, and they mate. At least this time. So it was pretty beautiful to watch that. What? This is incredible. So no wonder we're going to be affected. And then they explain about how it would all seem like a bunch of horse shit if there hadn't been those eclipses in February that pretty much just kind of went boop and erased me. So what they explain about my sign is that I made a commitment and a declaration in the casino it's written about, called A Special Graduation, when I said, the only way I'm going to stay here is if I'm not alone. I won't do this on my own anymore. Just won't. And so they proved to me with how they moved the light that they had no intention ever of leaving. They couldn't. And then I woke up and I was on the thingy, and then the lights went out and all that stuff. And what I gather from that now is different than at the time. Because earlier, like a month earlier, I'd had this vision, and I wasn't in the business of having visions. This was brand new. I mean, yeah, I've had weird experiences all my life, really weird ones, but not full-on visions. Come on, better things to do than to what's real and what's not. I mean, it took a long time, because when you start having your world sort of melt into hallucinations, you kind of have to know. What's real and what's not. Oh my, that can be kind of tricky at times, especially when you encounter something that's so good that it's unreal. Then what do? Oh, wait. Is this possible? No. No. Fuck you, it's not true. Can't be possible. This good thing? Fuck, no. No. Ooh, spicy. So I want to tell you a little bit about Melissa and I, just for the record. I think it's important. In my life, I have a number of Judases. That was sort of the theme. That was the first essay I ever wrote, and I'll be posting it with this video. It's called Judas Energy. What I've always known, just intuitively, Jesus and Judas were lovers. Jesus he was fused, of course. He had a twin, and that was Mary. So he had that completion. He had that realization, that reality. That's why he reacted so violently to Lazarus dying. That was Mary's dad. So, my understanding is that, I always knew that he was surrounded by females, and they were his teachers, and they weren't from around here. And I understood that, there was a heavy Marian influence, heavy, and there were teachers right there physically, guiding him. So it might seem magical, and what is presented to us is, of course, an interpretation through consciousness, which is quite brutal and weird. Okay. So 13, 14. So when the Son of Antares thing happened, when I had my thing in April of 12 on a smoke break, and I had this vision of a light, and then this insertive thoughts, you got to write this down, and then this big block letters, the Son of Antares is born. Ooh, right here, going crazy. It's kind of cute. Yeah, there's birth involved. And sure, it can be a son. Why not? We'd like to kind of maybe think about son being spelled S-U-N, not S-O-N. The Son of Antares is born. And when that happened, there was a time and a date stamp, which was looked at, and that natal chart is 100% compatible with the natal chart. And those characteristics began to be taken on, actually. And there's an Earth Grand Trine, and there's publishing, and lots of different things. And it's more of a meld, and it doesn't really kick in until the eclipse. Although I've been seeing the shifting more and more. And it's just really acknowledging that there's a mother about. Jesus didn't come in just spontaneously. He had a mama. And mothers are known for carrying young. And I kind of see this whole thing as just, this beautiful Taurian circle, which encircles this struggling, suffering, magnificent, brilliant soul. And in her earthen arms, in an earthen grand trine, and Venus conjoined the moon. The sun conjunct Jupiter. And Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. What an exquisite, exquisite expression. As the one who came before and knows better, and saw it was time to reverse the roles once more. And if this is way above your head, so be it. There are those who will understand. And so much remains unsaid. So much, so much, so much is hidden. So much. But much is revealed. Okay. We have a few words. The door is closed because the sun is asleep. And we did not want to disturb. Oh, that little scamp. The door was closed as we had a private conversation with Melissa. It's true. But then we went and saw the Sam and told him our conclusions. And he said, "I'm tired. Fine, Mom, go away." 1717. And this is good news to us. Yes, it's good news to us. That's very nice. Good, feisty one. Good. Be oppositional, please. Thank you. It's very good. It's a good sign. Because it was shared, what happens next is where we're going to spend the eclipse. Either indoor or outdoor. And either way is fine. So be it. I am yours and you are mine. So be it. So be it. And so, isn't it pretty? Yes, we would say it's very pretty indeed. And for those who are invested, well, perhaps their little minds are a little blown, yes? Which is fine. But these explanations, they unlock mysteries of a lifetime spent in torment, quietly cooking something up, quietly putting something together that was quite extraordinary, we say, and delivered expertly. Why wouldn't it be? And so for some, we want to talk about the eclipse for a little bit. And we are sorry for the boy because he is sometimes like this. And we see that there is an excess of energy and he needs to be played with. He's quite destructive, though. Very destructive. A little malicious. It's kind of fun. It's brand new energy, we say. It's playful. Harmless. Big. Goofy. Poised. Graceful. Funny. Brand new energy in the kitty cats. Interesting, we say. Do you notice changes in your environment? In your thinking? In the quality or content of your dreams? We ask you. because as we have shared a little bit, and we will share a little bit more, there's much that is to be just given to the Melissa, but much that can be given out now because the membrane has been pierced, so to speak. See, there's a rule here. And we do not introduce information that has not been received by human beings first. Okay? It's just a courtesy. There has to be an understanding that is reached, that is new, that is coherent, that is brand new and beautiful and coming from a different area. So, okay, so this is the idea here. With this eclipse energy coming in, well, you can use it any way you wish. There will be those who will be using it now. And we are one of them. We are here. We are there. And there was a description of feeling atomized and being surprised at the cojones and reflected atomization. And then the column became clear. But the atomization was quite prominent and was recurrent. And so, what numbers are flashing? 2111, 2112. So the idea here is that there is an atomization. It is very nicely cinematographically. How do you say that? By the movies, by the moving pictures. There's a beautiful scene. This one has alluded to it. It's in the movie called Lucy. She's going through a piercing of a membrane, it would appear, and a destruction, it would appear, as she flakes apart mid-flight, suspended from the earth. We say, no accident. The imagery. And we have said the magnetics lift, the ulta, they are suspended. And it feels as if you are flying, lifting. Very beautiful. 22, 22, 22, 23. So what does that mean? If you are not aware of any of this, well, obviously there's a physical effect. And we will talk more about that when the time arrives. We've already discussed with Melissa what to expect with the Trump. And we say that lionesses are, in the end, the fiercest animals on earth. And there'll be many who will be imprinted with two suns, not just this one. Why do you think we talked about the two suns so much? It's part of the chakra system of the 12-layer DNA. Yes, we are technicians, obviously. Yes, we are specialists. Yeah, and no, we are not from around here. And we represent that second sun. Don't you see? Don't you see? Isn't it fairly obvious? So which operating system are you going to use, sister? Which thoughts are going to cloud your mind? Are your thoughts going to cloud? Or are they going to crystallize? Are your emotions going to muddy? Or beautify? Will your life decay? Or be reborn? Well, these are fundamental questions, and we say that this one is an example. Haven't we said that? Haven't we used the words extreme example? Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Now you see just how extreme. And we are gratified that she let you into that madness. It was only part of the reality of it. But yes, this one is such a light that she very early attracted the opposite, and it chilled her, and she knew that this was no ordinary life, that having been visited by this Jesus was probably a correct and true thing that happened, and that this was not ordinary and there was no one to talk to. We would have to struggle with this and figure it out, because there's just too much weirdness. There's too much weirdness. And so this was done. It was done quietly, and often in extremity and in poverty, in celibacy, in service. Service to other and to self. No doubt there. And yes, this one has talked about this weird thing that she noticed when they talk about that Jesus, he's one way and then he's another way. He goes from being kind of like an average Joe to being, hey, I'm the son of God, you guys. And she found that odd, and she figured there was probably some sort of event that happened. Well, maybe not, who knows. But, you can be known by the fruit of your speech. And what once was true is no longer true, but a simplified version of something far more beautiful and healing and real. So he said as an example for that, as an example for suffering and overcoming suffering. Having a mystical union with a man from a book, and visitations from him, and great love from him and for him, and an understanding which was far deeper than it should have been. It's a very, very, very early age. Ardent, passionate, exclusive love for this man. And when one rings with such energy, the heavens rejoice as the reunion occurs. And what a wonderful thing to have as an insertion this meditation done in 2013, as the Samuel hold such profound energy, making everything spin. It was incredible. It was he turned supernova for the group. And during that time there was a vision, this one feeling the weight and the fear, the uncertainty, the condemnations all around her as she ministered selflessly to her family. So much contempt, so much criticism, so much doubt, so much hate. And the grind, happily suspended for a time, that stole her will to live and her desire to be physical, as if her existence required her to do things she was not in agreement with and didn't like. But were beautiful, purposeful, sacred, fun, fulfilling. Odd, yes. And in this state, in the weeping, she called out to her brother and asked Jesus to come and be with her and comfort her. And he did. He came. And that was very good for her. He said, there is a reason, that you are so sad. He said, you miss me, that's why. You miss me. And then the house filled with him. Jesus lined the kitchen, the dining room, sat with her. So many of him. It felt so good. Oh, such an amplification. He said, what you don't understand is that you are surrounded by me. I am in everyone. Don't you know this by now? The energy of that moment lives on, and it's activated when spoken about. This is one of the reasons why there is a review of meditations and visions, you see, because in newer energy, it's not as if the mechanics change, but the significances do, and the connections with other significances broaden. It's part of the plan, with the neurologic changes that we've discussed at length. So we understand at this point that it is through carrying out the potentials contained within the April horoscope that the work can continue. It cannot continue with the other energy. The other energy was the seeking energy. It was the sun. It was the SON. And now the sun, the SUN of Antares is Ban. Well, that can mean a lot of things, we say. Let's stand that Earth Mother is around, okay? So, and there is an energy match that is beautiful, and so there will always be a choice. High road, low road. There will always be magic, because there cannot be anything but magic with that configuration. Oh my God. But there are no hindrances to good energy flow. And, we've talked about it just being a good thing. That's all. So if others are looking toward this if others are looking toward this as an expression, as a way to express, perhaps you do not need anyone to validate your experience. But when this one was changing her name based on numerology, when she was 2930, it would have been nice to have someone else talking to maybe even just to the camera, saying, yeah, I just went down and it took me about 1.5 years, but I kind of figured it all out, and I feel very good about this, and I feel this is the right thing to do for me, and I understand the gravity of it and the seriousness and the pain in the ass it'll be, and it's the only thing I want to do. And so the name was changed. Catherine, well, there needed to be a stately name. Kathy was hillbilly name, in her opinion. And Catherine, well, it's spelled with R-E-I-N-E, because of course, Reine in French is queen. The next name she chose was Asta, Greek for star, because she knew she came from the stars. In the core, in the middle, was the name Magatha, which came to her as she began to channel medical information, and understood Magatha to be a physician from Atlantis. Isn't that quaint? It was a good first step. It was a clue. Nothing stupid about it, everything beautiful about it, but gradations of information, like facets of a jewel. The next name she chose, the core, was Jane. Her identity, as she would have preferred being known, she didn't want to be known as Jean, J-E-A-N, She wanted to be known as Jane, Jane, and she was a little perturbed that they hadn't paid attention very good, because she didn't like the Jean. It didn't sound good. It was harsh and sad and lonely. But Jane is a garden. So that was changed. Then comes the Magatha. And the last name was chosen to be Green, with an E on the end. And so the numerology and the path was changed quite intentionally and with good effect, but was seen later as a willful act which did indeed change things for the better, but did change them. And we would say this is just as significant as doing other things, because you are basically declaring your reality, and then you know what happens, guys? Everything shifts. You're the boss. That's how it works. Obviously. So we've talked a lot to her about being the creator and how each person goes out into their reality and they are creating their experience of it, their reality. We think it's better to put their reality in quotes rather than their reality in quotes. Everyone has their reality. Alright? And if you have a reality that stinks up the joint and is murderous and foul and full of terror in your soul toward the other, toward self, that's nasty. And it would be seen as more and more nasty and just not quite right and needing some assistance, but no longer being given prominence. It needs to be shut down. That's ridiculous. Who's running the show here? This is a temper tantrum of a toddler. So we wish to close with some very ancient information, and we're going to just bump it. There's much that is hidden. And for no good reason, except that why do you need it? You don't. But there's a few who know about this, and they need to get some relief. That's why these tapes are limited right now in the readership and stuff, because it's very advanced and people aren't quite ready for it yet. But they're gonna be. So, as we explained to the Melissa, there are many who most do not know that there was an energetic mishap, so to speak. Not quite correct to say it that way, but it was an unexpected thing. An act of will. That's fine. It's fine. But then it needs to be dealt with. We explained this in the 90s, and it felt too much like a myth. What happened was there was a flood of not first dimension but second dimension energy, which we would say is what you're seeing play out. It lags, it slows the DNA, and it clogs the DNA, and it shortens it just messes with the codons, and it's not good for the telomeres, and it's just sticky and icky and ugh. And when this happened, it is a bit of like everyone on Earth was just overlaid with a prison. Like a steel prison, okay? And everyone was in their cells, right? But this prison covered the Earth. Black and icky. This is the second. And we've talked about dimensions at length, so if you'd have questions, it's a good thing to maybe do some research. And it does involve watching, because we have not indexed things very well yet. It's just too hard. So what we're saying is that the second acts much like we first described it as inserts or ride-alongs or souls that are lost and things like that. And so many did soul retrieval and are still doing such a thing. We say that because of the consciousness of the human being, don't you notice that the divinity is seen the farther out from the earth you go? Notice that? The moon isn't quite as divine as the sun. It's just a, it's a little step down, right? Okay, so that's the consciousness. We are not a column, we are a pyramid. Okay, that's the idea. It's kind of silly. So what we are saying is that there was this prison that was created from the energy itself, and you can say it's in the inside, you can say it's on the outside, but at this point in the experiment it was externalized. And this is what we have been banging the drum about with this in your lives, where you feel imprisoned, where your will is not effective. It just doesn't seem to work right there. All right, that's the second. That's not allowing free flow. And so what was done, especially in the 40s, but all through life, was to make these inserts of these people who would light up like Roman candles in the prison cells. And once it was popped, okay? Think of it that way. And then pretty soon, in the 40s, then a whole bunch came in, and we say the Pluto retrograde helps a lot. And they come in and go boop in the cells, and they go run around and scamper. And so you see this big split happening, right? And then you have an eclipse where everything, all bets are off. And the quotient, maybe there's enough light on the planet, you think? Oh, you think? We think so. Yes. And when that happens, boop, people go off. Does this mean they turn into light as the lights go down? Well, that's up to you guys. We say that whatever's happening energetically is so far advanced. It comes from an area that was conferred upon them energetically, but it's so obstructed. It's just hold your horses kind of thing, You're gonna know more as you know more, and you have enough now. So just be at peace, please. So this is what we have to say about this most amazing time on Not to Be Alive, because you have earned by virtue of being here, but in the case before you certainly has earned that bench that she saw when she's got a turban and her little kid is fidgeting. Woo! And the mama says, hey, stop doing that, show some respect. Don't you understand what's happening? And he continues to fidget. Hey, you should stop that. Something big's happening pretty soon. You should probably get ready for it and stuff. Fidget. Right, look up. And then this square, this rectangle of metal that was fluted, comes out of the sky and goes whoa, with a bone-rattling sound. And the sky filled, which was white. The whole scene had been one grey concrete expanse. And suddenly, the sky filled with white, but it was white because there were tons of UFOs in it, in this vision. They should have been bumping each other and falling out of the sky, but they weren't. You got a lot of help, in other words. See how that works? That you wouldn't expect, but that's real. See? Nice metaphor. So the time of tribulation, actually, we sandwiched it so that there was this going on, and it was hard to understand whether this tribulation and the fear of death and the knowledge of death and the anger at being so convinced about death, golly, that wasn't very pleasant. I wish I'd known that everything was going to be okay. God, I thought it was dying. All the time I thought it was dying. Oh well, that is the human experience. That is what amnesia does. So this is a very big gift, beautiful one, and for those who are ready, it's probably going to go plunk with a couple of things that you were wondering about. Ooh, pretty numbers. And if that's not you, well then, there you go. Put a bookmark in it and come back later maybe. Come back later. So we had the Melissa write down notes, and this is good because but we want to explain a little bit about the Melissa before we go. Okay, so once this boop happened and everything went good for her, she was instructed to get in the car and go see the Melissa and give it away. And we say that this is important to have a twin. It's important to have someone who is holding witness, because the changes are immense on both sides, and it's very wonderful to share it. It's important. It's important. It's integral. It's integral. That's why we videotape as we do. That's why we wrote as we did, until it was more appropriate to use the energy of the body and the sound to create. So it's a different way. And it has its profundity, it has its energetic profundity. The words, the written words, have a heart profundity which is unmatched, very skilled. A little bit verbose at times, yes, but so be it, so be it. You get wrung out and feel better, so there you go. So here's the story, Morning Glory. It's happening in a little bit, yes. What day is it? Let's look. Oh, it's the 18th. An 8 and a 9 and a 1. 9, 9. Which reduces to 18. Which is what, gang? It's a 9. Oh my. What do 9s mean? Well, they're reflective. They're columns of light. And they signify completion. What happens after 9 is a different ball game. This whole time we've been talking about dimensions, we've been talking about chakras as well. We've been talking about morphogenic fields. We've been talking about agreement fields. They all line up, they match. They're different expressions of consciousness in matter. What someone who screams epithets at a presidential rally is capable of imagining as real and true and possible is perhaps much different than someone who has a graduate degree from a liberal arts college. Do you think? Different values, perhaps? Different daily habits? Different things pushing on them, frightening them, moving them, encouraging them. So this is why we've said, it's the time of fence-sitting is over. It becomes profoundly obvious that's true. And a nation divided in crisis, wondering, how are we going to sustain this one? Whew, this is a stinker. Yep, the lights go down. When everyone deserves and needs a little divine intervention. And funny thing, it was right on time. It was scheduled a long time ago. Long time ago. Long time ago. And many have just been waiting around, having visions in their visions, drinking beer and talking about the Israel-Palestine thing, and going to rehearsals and going through sandstorms and many things that were lovingly and very devotedly given away to those willing to read about them and learn about them and hopefully benefit from them. That's kind of the idea, because this is ultimately quite benevolent, knowing one as mother and son, neither eclipsed by the other, but two lives in one, as we have always said. Twin suns, spitting in 24 spinning balls, 12 sets within the fields, connecting it all together. This is a gift to those who can understand, a burden to those who cannot, a trick to the fearful, insanity to the unwise, and a new way of living to those who can see with one eye. So we leave you in utter bliss and awareness, joy, knowledge, peace, honor, respect, dignity and the cooperation with your free will for now and forever. For now and forever. Sena.